You know, grumpy old man. It's getting on my nerves.
Laura, were you talking to me?
Oh, sorry, I didn't know it was audio. Thanks,
Oh,
Tracy.
There we go. Camera didn't turn on there for a minute. All right. Good morning, everyone. Tracy, can you hear me?
Good morning, I can hear you.
All righty, let's get going. Before there's more people that want to jump in on this and beat up on Mr. Valentine. He's over there all by himself with about 20-1 against him. My God. All right, we'll go on the record proceeding 24G-0179TO. Colorado Public Utilities Commission versus Klaus Towing LLC, doing business as Klaus Towing Incorporated. Today is July 9th, 2024 at approximately 9 a.m. I'm Administrative Law Judge Robert Garvey. This proceeding comes down for a pre-hearing conference that I called just to figure out how we want to proceed in this matter. And I don't know who with the AG's office wants to take the lead on this one. We have a choice of many, but whoever it is can go first, and then the respondent can go after that. Look at that. Mr. Kai doesn't have his microphone on. Gosh darn it.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Paul Kide, First Assistant Attorney General for State of Colorado on behalf of trial staff. I am not the lead here. I just wanted to say hello. I haven't seen you in a long time, and it was good to see you back on the bench. I don't know if you've met the attorneys on my team. Mr. Cox is going to lead our presentation, and Ms. Hayden and Ms. Chong are also counsel. But we're going to go off camera, and Mr. Cox will chat. It's just easier to listen in real time on the Zoom here. I would note that the Department of Law is having massive tech issues today, both for people who are at home, which is Jennifer, Ms. Hayden, and Mr. Cox, those in our office at the Wells Fargo Center, me and Ms. Chong. And so we'll do the best that we can. The workaround is that if we lose it, we're going to go on our cell phones and connect that way. So I'm going to go off camera. I just want to say hello.
Okay, no, and I was actually going to say hello to you too as well. I was going to say you're one of the few people that I have not seen, and I have met your colleagues. Mr. Cox had the displeasure of sitting through a hearing with me about a week ago. Ms. Hayden has been there, and I think Ms. Chong, she showed up for, I think it was a show cause or something like that, and I thought she was a respondent. So, but I met him. Thank you very much, Mr. Cox. It's good to see you as well.
Okay.
Mr. Cox, take it away.
Do you want to
just do an entry, just do your entry, and then if anyone else is assisting you on it as well.
Oh yeah, Justin Cox with the
Attorney General's office. On behalf of trial staff, as Mr. Kide mentioned, we have Jennifer Hayden here and Eileen Chong as well, both Assistant Attorney Generals on behalf of trial staff. And I see Lloyd Swint and J.S. Strada from staff as well.
Yeah, I guess I haven't seen Mr. Swint. Hopefully I might see Mr. Swint tomorrow when I'm up in the office. I don't know. I haven't seen him. I don't think I've seen him in person. Did I see him in person, Lloyd? I don't know. All right, Mr. Valentine, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mark Valentine from the law firm of Keys and Fox on behalf of Klaus.
All right, and your client is not going to appear today?
My client is out of town. He can't appear today. Apologies, Your Honor.
It's no problem.
It's Mr. Porras.
Yeah, no, that's. I gotta say, I thought this was dealing with Wyatt's as well. So, give Mr. Porras my best when you see him. I'm not quite sure. I'm going to actually, obviously this is kind of a big CPAN with a whole bunch of stuff on there, and I'm really not quite sure I want to make sure how the parties want to proceed on this, because I'm not sure how I want to proceed. So I would have you file something, or I'd tell you what I want to do, but I don't know. So Mr. Cox, I'm going to start with you, and just some of the things I'm thinking about is, do we want pre-filed testimony? I know I have done that, Mr. Valentine. You were part of the taxi cab one. That was $1 million taxi cab one, right?
Yes, Your Honor. That was a $1.2 million CPAN, and I think it was, similar in length to this one, with a similar number of allegations, and we thought that maybe for efficiency's sake and to keep the hearing as streamlined as possible, it would be good to have pre-filed testimony, and that would certainly be our druther here. We to be frank, don't understand a lot of this, and we're going to need discovery and so forth and so on, and depositions and whatnot. I mean, you can imagine something of this magnitude. So we would prefer pre-filed testimony.
Okay, yeah, that was my recollection that you were part of that one and we had done pre-filed testimony on that. Mr. Cox, how do you feel about that?
We would object to pre-filed testimony. We prefer oral testimony. Certainly, I understand this is a large CPAN. However, the taxi cab one you were referencing was about double the size, probably more than double the tows, hundreds of tows versus only 72 here. Obviously, pre-filed testimony in CPAN towing matters is not standard. In this case, the evidence isn't overly complex, such as extensive technical explanation is needed, like in energy cases. The evidence and the circumstances are very similar for the vast majority of the tows. And the evidence really, and Mr. Valentine mentioned discovery, the vast majority of the documents are documents that are from the respondent. So the respondent should either have or has or should have all the documents, nearly all the documents related to the case. So we don't think, it's necessary. We would hope, and we'd hope the ALJ would encourage that respondent would stipulate to most of the exhibits they anticipate, because again, they are documents that were created by the respondent.
Well,
So that should be able to streamline the process of the hearing.
Well, I'm sure Mr. Valentine wants to streamline it, but he also has to protect his client. And I don't think he's going to admit to the allegations that are there. And we've got, I believe, 364. We got one every day, and that's a lot. It's a lot for me to keep in my brain. Honestly, it's a lot for whoever your witness or witnesses are, to keep straight and keep aligned. And just for the sake of doing that is one of the reasons. And I believe, if Mr. Valentine correct me, that one I didn't look it up and I probably should have. But the taxi cab one was more time of service or something like that.
That was hours of service.
Service. Yeah.
And one of the things that we're a bit sort of baffled by is, to our knowledge, counsel correctly says that what's at issue are documents. A lot of the charges in here relate to false documents, production of false documents, that type of thing. The allegations have nuances throughout. Sometimes it's not exactly the same allegation. The rules cover production, maintenance of false records. I mean, those are the sorts of allegations that are made. And what's interesting to us is, to our knowledge, we haven't been asked for any documents. So there's a lot more subtext to this than I think is apparent from the CPAN initially. So yes, it's true that the documents are, as far as we can tell, we don't know precisely. There's a bunch of emails that are cited. We haven't been asked for the emails, as best we can tell. So there's a lot more that's going on here than we understand. So we think pre-filed testimony would be apt in this case, because we're gonna want staff's understanding of the documents, the rules, what's transpired, how they came up with the allegations, and so forth and so on. So,
and certainly that, in Your Honor, that can be determined via discovery. That's the purpose of discovery.
Yeah, no, that's right. And I'm not going to get into discovery issues now before discovery even begins. And hopefully that'll get cleared up. And again, Mr. Valentine, if they don't do that or don't prove it, then they don't win. So,
and Your Honor, if I could, one more point, I apologize. We do anticipate lay witnesses in this. That would certainly, these are third-party witnesses that are not clients. It's one thing to do it when it's just a staff witness or something, or Mr. Valentine's client. But when you have third parties, certainly pre-filed written testimony would be unusual.
Well, I mean, I know I've been gone for a couple of years, but but in CPANs, having more than one witness for staff is generally not the case. So I really wasn't anticipating that. How many witnesses are you anticipating?
In addition to one from staff, could be 1 to 3 lay witnesses or third-party witnesses, excuse me.
How many days are you thinking this would take? That's another consideration for me.
It's certainly going to depend. I mean, we would hope that it could be, it would depend on if we could stipulate to the documents, all that good stuff. But, you know, we would.
I assume they stipulate to nothing. Assume they stipulate to nothing because it's 300, it's almost $400,000. I know Mr. Valentine well enough. He's not going to stipulate to nothing.
Well,
Not right
they're their
now.
own documents. So if they don't, yeah, certainly that would be unfortunate. But, you know, we would anticipate maybe 3 or 4 days at the most. Hopefully quicker, but to you know, give us enough time.
And Mr. Valentine, I realize you're unaware of what exactly you're facing right now and so forth. And I'm assuming Mr. Porras would testify. Would you assume that there would be other witnesses that you'd have? Again, I'm not holding you at all to anything other than just trying to get a base.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think it's Mr. Porras, but to be honest, we could end up calling staff from Klaus. You know, we just don't really know. We could end up calling the drivers for all of these tows. We don't know. I find 4 days to be probably significantly short for something of this magnitude, because I mean, right now, assuming that some of these charges don't go away, that's 368 allegations or whatever it is. So, you know, if you're planning for a worst case scenario, and you know me, Judge, I'm certainly willing to settle cases. And we ended up settling the taxi case after motions practice and significant litigation. But worst case scenario, this is going to take quite some time.
Yeah, and I think that taxi case, if I recall the way we set that one up, and I'd have to look, I think we did it for we had it set up for like about 3 or 4 days, 1 week. Then we took a week off.
Yes.
Because it was, and then we had another week coming back, if I recall. And that was with pre-filed testimony.
Yes.
There was more allegations, no question. There's more allegations, and maybe double, but this is still a lot of allegations.
And certainly we could do some sort of hybrid where lay witnesses are taken live and the core witnesses are pre-filed testimony. I'm not opposed to that.
What do you think, Mr. Cox? What do you think about that? What if like staff witnesses is pre-filed testimony, and if you have lay witnesses, I don't know, people who own these cars or whatever, that they can testify live?
No, I would still say that we recommend oral testimony. It won't be necessary to technically go through every single one. I mean, these again are very documents based.
I guarantee you, Mr. Valentine thinks it's necessary that you go through every one.
But there will be ways to streamline the discussions. As I said, many of the facts and circumstances are very similar related to each of the tows, and so you know, but they can testify. Be able to testify to the witnesses will be able to testify to all of that in a very quick fashion, we believe.
They'll have to testify to the elements of each one of these violations.
Yep. You understand?
And I mean, I don't know if you know this offhand, Mr. Cox. Because I decided I was going to had more time on my hands than I needed to for like about 30 minutes. I started to go through all this and I tried to figure out how many different rules were violated and how many different cars we had and stuff like that. And I got through about 4 pages and I said, okay, that's enough of that. But I got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different rules. Do you know offhand if it's more than that? I mean, they obviously they repeated a lot, but
there are 2 separate statutes involved. And there are 1, 2, 3, or rules?
No mind, I have 6007 J, L, and K, and then I have 10.14053A, and I also have 6508B3B. That's the ones I got real quickly. So there might be one more. And do you know how many vehicles are involved? I started that one.
72.
72 vehicles.
And the vast majority of these counts do relate to the false email authorization. There are some other very, very few in comparison that relate to other false documents, a tow authorization form and a tow invoice. And then the other counts are related to failure to take required photographs.
Does each one of these violations require an individual document?
Yes.
So that's 360 some odd documents that we have to get in.
Well, let me backtrack. Not every single one, but the vast majority of, yes, will have their own document.
Okay, and like I said, I know Mr. Valentine well enough, and certainly I wish he would stipulate to him, but he doesn't have to, and I would not blame him if he didn't. I might have to think about this a little bit. Well,
A couple of things, Your Honor. If in fact a lot of this is similar or the same as counsel suggests that the allegations are, then drafting pre-filed testimony should be relatively straightforward as far as categorizing the allegations. Another thing that has happened, not just in the taxi cases, but in other cases, is that some of the allegations may prove to be, I don't know, defective or something like that. There might be something technically wrong with the CPAN. And we're going to insist on our opportunity, the notice and opportunity to be heard. Now, the statute says that staff, the CPAN doesn't get dismissed and for a technical violation, but fair enough. But we're going to want to then have an opportunity to regroup if they change the CPAN.
no, and that's what happened in the cab case too. If I recall correctly on that one, there was at least once, if not twice, where different violations were withdrawn, and we had different counts that way. So, and that's a good question, Mr. Cox. Are you anticipating that some of these might go away?
Not at this time, Your Honor. Certainly, Mr. Valentine's free to file a motion to dismiss, and we will address that, but not at this time. In addition, Mr. Valentine mentioned being easier to simplify the testimony or written testimony. If it can be done during the written testimony, it could also be done at hearing. And also doing the written testimony does not mean that everything will be stipulated to at hearing, or that the documents are automatically admitted into evidence. So really, we don't see a large difference in the written testimony versus oral testimony.
Well, I'll give you a real quick one, is that it's all written down there, and I have it. You have every single one of these, every single one of you got a lot of cars, you have 72 cars, you get a lot of violations. Your witness has it written down where he talks about each one and says, yes, look at document 72. And that's there, and it's written down for me, and I don't have to keep track of it, and you don't have to keep track of it. Mr. Valentine doesn't have to keep track of it. And frankly, I'm surprised. I would think actually from a prosecution from staff's position, it would be easier to make sure that you hit everything. That's one of the things that I thought on the taxi cab one, that we'd make sure we'd hit everything and be great cross-checking. But I'll think about that. You're resisting strongly.
The other thing that I have found, Your Honor, is that in the process of drafting, it makes you think about the case, and it makes you think about the charges, And I know it makes me think about my defenses. It makes me think about documents and whether I would stipulate all of that.
Mr. Valentine, you're helping Mr. Cox. You don't want to do that.
Look, if I have a document that we don't object to,
I
I'm
know.
not gonna say no.
No, I know. I know, Mr. Valentine. I've you know, we go back about 15 years. I have full faith and trust in your ability to and have never had any argument with your conduct in a hearing. Let me think. Let me think. Okay. Well, I tell you what. Let me not think about that one for a minute, and let me think about the discovery issues. I don't know if we need to, if we want initial filings to be out a little bit longer, if we want discovery to go a little longer, just on how big it's going to be, and basically figuring when we want to have a hearing. When, Mr. Cox, would the staff look to schedule a hearing in this matter?
Yeah, Your Honor, we actually had put together a proposed schedule and sent it to Mr. Valentine on July 2nd. That had proposed a hearing the week of October 21st with the SOP to be wrapped up before the holidays on November 15th. In response, we were told that the respondent would need more extended schedule. They would need more time for discovery and a hearing in the spring sometime.
Great.
Over a year after the CPAN, potentially not resolving this until over a year after the CPAN was issued, more than 2 years after the first violations.
Spring seems a little long. What do you say, Mr. Valentine?
Well, I mean, I'm booked out this summer. With a little bit of luck, I'll get to go to the Southeast Asia for the U.S. Department of Commerce. Mr. Porras has a rough schedule this summer. That's why he's not here today, Your Honor. I'm certainly willing to look at something in the later fall. You know, depositions, documents, getting ready for a hearing of this sort. It just is time consuming. So, you know, if you would like December, that's.
How about November? How about one says October, one says December, and so of course I say November. What about sometime in November? Have to see. I mean, I think we're going to at least have to have. I'm going to schedule it for at least, no matter whether I decide we have pre-filed testimony or not. I would say for 7 days, just to be, you know, I always rather schedule a couple extra days than too few. Let's see, when is that? That's nothing. I look at somewhere around the 4th or 11th, right before, a week or two before Thanksgiving. Maybe starting the 12th and going through scheduling through, what is that? Okay. There's a CNG hearing scheduled the 18th.
And I'm in that hearing, Your
You're in
Honor.
that hearing? Are you in that hearing?
Yep.
Okay. How about the 4th through the 12th? Then we could be here on election day and not have, we can not have to worry about what's going on outside of our little world. Get the 11th off, Veterans Day, so you can regroup. How does that work? I'll be a little loose with this. I'll be a little loose with this because I'm not right now. I'm not sure when the rest of the filings would be. Although, let me see. Probably go. Well, I hate to work backwards like this. When are you going to be gone and going to Southeast Asia?
September,
Johnson?
Your Honor.
Okay.
I mean, these dates are likely fine for us. I think we can probably make this work. I think that CNG case is likely to settle.
Oh, okay.
And so, you know, that may go away. May I make a suggestion, which is you decide whether you want pre-filed testimony, or not, or a hybrid, and then counsel and I can come up with a procedural schedule based on a hearing in those dates.
Hey, Mr. Valentine, if let's say that I give the option to the parties and I say, listen, you can do pre-filed testimony or not. Do you anticipate that you would be pre-filing testimony then?
I would pre-file the testimony of Mr. Porras,
Okay.
most likely, and then whatever lay witnesses we had, I would need to think about, but I think that they would probably be live, as Mr. Cox was suggesting. So
Okay, that's I'm leaning towards that. That I'll give the option as to whether you want to do that or not. You would then your exhibits, then exhibits and testimony would be due by a certain day in each case. Well, what else? Do you want to do this? How do we want to do this as far as just practically? We want to do this remotely? Do we want to do this in person, or do we want to do this hybrid?
I would prefer in person, Your Honor.
Scott, what do you say?
We can do either. So if in person or hybrid works for us.
Yeah, I mean, I generally would prefer to do things remotely, but this is a weird one. So I kind of lean towards doing it in person. I just anticipate potential issues and problems with this, and it's going to get complicated. And when we're trying to figure things out, we don't need I don't need stuff going out or having technical problems. Yeah, I don't need that on top of it. Don't need that.
I would note that our witnesses may be not necessarily in the Denver area. So
well, and
it may be easier for them to do remote, some of them.
Okay.
So a hybrid situation may be helpful.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I certainly for witnesses that are not here, I don't have a problem with them testifying remotely. That's fine. I'll make it a hybrid, but I'll just do it that way. I want to make it easier for people to testify, especially in any case we get an expert, which not in this case, but all right. Why don't we say that? Well, that's what we're going to do. Okay. I'm going to leave it up to you folks. You can figure out whether you want to. I'm going to leave the option for pre-filed testimony. I'm not going to order it. It's up to you. Go either way. So when do you want to have Mr.
Question, Your Honor, is that true for just the lay witnesses, or is it true for everybody?
Everybody. You want to have everybody. You want to pre-file everybody's testimony? Go ahead. You don't want to pre-file anyone's? Don't.
Okay, so staff won't be required to pre-file their testimony.
They won't be required to pre-file their testimony. No.
Okay, all right.
You can if you want to. Frankly, I think it makes life easier for me, but that's up to you. Because I can follow it. Oh, the other thing I want to ask you, Mr. Cox, one of the things I don't know, been in the commission forever, come back. I have no idea when a CPAN's done up, if that's done on like an Excel sheet. And if it is done on an Excel sheet, I don't know if Mr. Valentine's going to ask for it, but I would like to have a copy of that so I can sort out by different things, the different dates. For instance, I don't know which way is the best way to look at that CPAN because it confuses the hell out of me.
Sure.
I looked at it.
Yeah, and the CPAN is set up to go by each of the toes. So each of the toes, all the allegations related to that specific toe.
Okay.
And there are different dates because obviously these are events that occurred over a course of time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure whether I want to see all the dates together, if I want to see all the different cars together, if I want to see all the different violation numbers together. So anything that allow me to sort by those would be great. Okay, so then I'm gonna make a full schedule out of this. Okay, so staff filings, with testimony and exhibits are gonna be due. What do you think, Mr. Cox? When can you get it to me? I'm gonna give you a little time. How about the 20th of September?
So I'm a little bit confused because I don't think staff is going to pre-file anything.
Well, they got pre-file. They have pre-file any. I want to pre-file any exhibits and stuff like that. At the very least.
Yeah, this will be the deadline to file exhibits for both parties, right?
Not for both parties, just for you. Then Mr. Valentine will be after that. I'm gonna give him time to look after that, and then if you have any rebuttal that you want to put, I'm gonna put it both in there. I'm gonna put everything in there. So it's gonna be I was gonna handle like a utility case. So a regular filing of answer testimony and then any rebuttal that you have. If you want to out of that. So if you don't have any testimony rebuttal that way, I mean, you can still do a rebuttal case. Not going to stop that if you don't file anything.
Are we talking, excuse me, yeah. Are we talking about exhibits that are going to be adhering, or are we talking about pre-filed testimony?
Both.
Normally,
if you rebuttal exhibits, you don't have to. If you don't file any rebuttal testimony, you're not going to have your rebuttal exhibits. So you're not going to have anything there.
Well, usually there's a separate exhibits deadline versus the pre-filed testimony deadlines. That's why I'm a little confused about how it would work.
I figure like if you're going to have answer testimony and exhibits, if you're just going to have exhibits, the exhibit deadline is going to be, I can say September 20th. So if you have pre-filed testimony, that goes then. If you just have exhibits that you want to file at that time, do it that way. Okay. Then we will say, since it's a little bit bigger and I want to give one more time, the 18th of October, Mr. Valentine, how does that work? Gives you a month on that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Again, testimony, exhibits, stuff like that. If you want to do rebuttal testimony and have exhibits with that, that will be due on, we'll say,
Your Honor, that last date was the 18th of October?
Correct. And so
is
then
trying to think how many weeks that is before the hearing.
That's
only
actually I gotta
2
make
weeks.
it the 11th.
You want to be able to rebuttal.
Yeah,
we won't even have time to rebuttal.
I say I make that the 11th. Sorry, Mr. Valentine, lost a week. I can't count so well. And then we will say the 25th then, if you have any rebuttal, or you can just do rebuttal live. Everything that way. But now you don't have to pre-file rebuttal exhibits. If you want to file rebuttal exhibits, you can, but they're not limited to that. That all makes sense? Then we'll have a schedule from the 4th through the 12th with an off day on Veterans Day. Make sense? Mr. Cox, work
Yes.
for you? Okay, Mr. Valentine, that work for you?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, if you talk to Mr. Porras, it doesn't work for him, call me. I mean, I'll be pretty, I think this is a weird case. I'm going to be really open to changing things around and stuff like that. I understand that things are going to change. I assume they do on something this big, so don't be afraid to ask. All right, Mr. Cox, anything further?
Just for clarification, are you looking for the parties to work on other dates, whether it be settlement or motions, things like that?
I will probably put a date on there for when I want to witness matrix. But settlement. So listen, you come into we start the hearing. You're 3 hours into the hearing. You sit there and listen to what's going on. And you want to go talk to Mr. Valentine and have a settlement. I'll take your settlement. I'll always take your settlement. I really don't understand settlement dates. I'll always take your settlement. That's a garbage date. I don't know what else. What are the date we want on there? You're gonna have corrections dates. Hey, just get it. Again, I'm gonna let you correct it. So I don't care about those dates so much.
Sure.
But just at those.
Or discovery dates.
Discovery's up to you guys. Please leave me out. I don't want to, I don't walk into that minefield unless you take me screaming, dragging me, screaming and kicking. You don't want to be there. You saw that,
Hopefully
Mr.
we
Cox.
won't-
You saw,
yeah, hopefully we don't have to go do anything like that in this matter.
You saw how much I enjoyed that. Yeah. Try to put it on my schedule. Discovery complaint hearing. No, have your complaint, have your problem first. Yeah, no, figure it out. Mr. Valentine's easy to work with. I know that. Okay, that's it. You'll see what if I think something else needs to be on the schedule, I'll put it there. But if it's not something that's causing you pain or you want to know what it is, or if it does, tell me. Shoot me an email. We'll make it work. Okay, Mr. Cox, anything more?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Mr. Valentine, anything more?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, very much. I appreciate this. Of course, work on a settlement. I always want you to do that, Mr. Cox. Especially on a case like this. But I wish you luck on that. Hope everyone had a good holiday. Have fun. And you have to tell Mr. Valentine, I'll see you next time. I'm in a hurry today, but I want to hear more about this thing with the Commerce Department. Me and the federal government, we like that now.
Yeah, no,
They don't like me.
I get it, Your Honor.
They don't like me. They don't like me over there. Some of them do. Some don't. Okay.
All
right.
This trip has been in the works for quite some time and it keeps getting canceled. So, yes, I understand where you're coming from.
All right. All right. Everyone have a good day. I'll see you later. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.